Hello and good evening. Welcome back to PACIS TV. This is the time for the news in English. I am Benjamin Kwizera and these are the headlines. President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, and his Botswana counterpart, Duma Boko, witnessed the signing of several bilateral agreements at the Gaborone presidential office. In Kibeho, the leadership of Groupe Scolaire Marie-Merci Kibeho, Groupe Scolaire Mère d'Iverbe Kibeho, and Kibeho Health Center commemorated former students, teachers, and support staff who were killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. These remarks during the 32nd commemoration of the 32nd commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, students and teachers of Institut Catholique de Kabgayi ICK took part in remembrance activities. In international news, U.S. President Donald Trump says a ceasefire is still in place with Iran despite a clash between Iran and United States naval destroyers in the Strait of Hormuz, for which both sides blamed for each other. Welcome back once again for PACIS TV News in English in details. His Excellency the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, and his Botswana counterpart, Duma Boko, witnessed the signing of several bilateral agreements at the Gaborone presidential office. News in detail. DTC Botswana is a joint venture equally owned by Botswanan government and De Beers. The company is considered the largest and most sophisticated rough diamond sorting and valuation operation in the world, with a processing capacity up to 45 million carats per year. This visit comes as Rwanda and Botswana step up initiatives to strengthen their economic cooperation and investment partnerships. On Wednesday, President Paul Kagame and his Botswanan counterpart, Duma Boko, witnessed the signing of several bilateral agreements at the Gaborone presidential office, following talks held between delegations from both countries. The signed agreements cover the prevention of double taxation, visa exemptions for holders of diplomatic, official and national passports, air services, cooperation in health sector, as well as expanded partnerships in the economic, trade and investment sectors. During the discussions, President Paul Kagame praised Botswana's approach to natural resources management, particularly in the diamond sector, which he described as an example of forward-looking governance. For his part, President Duma Boko said the visit marked a strategic realignment between the two countries and stressed the need to quickly implement the signed agreements. This is President Kagame's first state visit to Botswana since 2019, the year in which both countries agreed to establish the framework for the Joint Permanent Commission on the cooperation to strengthen their bilateral relations. From Botswana back to Rwanda. In Kibeho, the leadership of Groupe Scolaire Marie-Merci Kibeho, Groupe Scolaire Mère d'Iverbe Kibeho, Groupe Scolaire Saint-Paul Kibeho, and Kibeho Health Center commemorated former students, teachers, and support staff who were killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, especially those murdered at Groupe Scolaire Marie-Merci Kibeho by fellow students they studied with. News in detail. The Vicar General of Bishop of the Diocese of Gikongoro, Eugene Dushimurukundo, and the Mayor of Nyaruguru District, Dr. Emmanuel Murwanashyaka, urged students to promote love and mutual support by prioritizing values that fight against evil. They made these remarks during the 32nd commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi held at GS Marie-Merci Kibeho, Mère d'Iverbe Kibeho, and GS Saint Paul Kibeho schools in remembrance of former students, teachers, staff members, patients, and caregivers from Kibeho Health Center who were killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. The leadership of Groupe Scolaire Marie-Merci Kibeho, Groupe Scolaire Mère d'Iverbe Kibeho, Groupe Scolaire Saint-Paul Kibeho, and Kibeho Health Center commemorated former students, teachers, and support staff who were killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, especially those murdered at GS Marie-Merci by fellow students they studied with. Some current students from this school also stated that they must play a role in fighting against genocide, denial, and minimization of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda.
We as youth, we were not yet born during the time of genocide against the Tutsi, but we must learn from our history and make sure that what happened never happen again in Rwanda or everywhere in the world. On the 32nd commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi, here at Marie Merci Kibero, the former Tutsi students were killed by fellow students. We as youth, we must be good ambassadors by answering those who deny genocide.
Eugene Dushimurukundo, speaking on behalf of the Bishop of the Diocese of Gikongoro, asked students in these schools to remember their fellow students who were killed by classmates during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. He encouraged them to spread love and support one another by upholding Christian values which helped prevent evil.
Genocide left us with a lot of lessons. We call upon you as youth to be characterized by love, unity, and supporting each other in everything you do. You must have friendship so that the compassion will be with you, even in responsibility the country will entrust you with. You must also hold on to the Christian values, prioritizing it so that you can fight against the evil.
The mayor of Nyaruguru district, Dr. Emmanuel Murwanashyaka, also urged students, teachers, and school leaders and workers at Kibeho Health Center to eliminate divisions among themselves and promote love and brotherhood founded on the unity and resilience of Rwandans.
Particularly for you, our children, I would like to remind you that you were born in a decent country, Rwanda, that is division-free, with no nepotism and discrimination. We request you to proceed preserving unity of Rwandans. You must work hard by studying and behave well and work together in the school.
Every year on the 7th of May, more than 94 victims buried at Kibeho Memorial Site are commemorated. They include former students, teachers, and others who supported student welfare and who were killed at the Groupe Scolaire Marie Merci during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, murdered by fellow students from the same school. From Kibeho to Kabgayi, students of Institut Catholique de Kabgayi ICK, together with their teachers, took part in the 32nd commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. The event began with a visit to lay flowers at Kabgayi Genocide Memorial Site as a sign of remembrance and respect for the victims. During the commemoration, students shared testimonies encouraging young people to study seriously and use education responsibly to avoid the mistakes of the past. Marie-Josée Mukabagire, a student, urged her peers to pursue education not just as a formality, but as a way of building critical thinking and preventing manipulating that once led to genocide. The rector of ICK, Professor Fidel Dushimimana, emphasized that the genocide remains a deep national wound and reminded the university of its responsibility to educate youth with a strong academic knowledge and human values. Muhanga District Mayor Kayitare Jacqueline also encouraged students to value the peaceful, united country they live in and contribute to building a better future based on unity and love. From Kabgayi to Nyamasheke, the survivors of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Nyamasheke district, especially in Shangi sector, have thanked the government of Rwanda for helping them rebuild their lives and restore hope after the genocide. They say they have benefited from support in healthcare, education, housing, and social welfare programs during commemoration event. Survivor Ernest Nkubana praised the government for promoting unity and supporting his education, which has enabled him to continue contributing to the country's development. Other survivors, including Erike Nezumukiza, acknowledged the assistance they receive but raised concerns about elderly survivors who still live in aging houses built shortly after the genocide. Due to poverty and old age, many are unable to renovate or replace their homes. The president of Ibuka in Nyamasheke, Marcel Gasasira, also noted that many emergency houses constructed in the 1994 genocide have become too old and now require urgent rehabilitation. Nyamasheke District Mayor Mupenzi Narcisse said that the commemoration period should also serve as a time to support and comfort genocide survivors. The district has pledged that the end of 2026, no genocide survivor, especially vulnerable elderly survivor, will be living in a poor housing conditions. Authorities plan to achieve this through home renovations and construction of modern model villages in partnership with the private sector. After a short commercial break, we are coming back, continuing other news.
Muri Gicurasi kuri Canal Plus wicikwa n'imikino y'indyankuriye aho umwami wa Premier League azambikwa ikamba, FA Cup igahamya ubukaka bwayo, uwegukana Ligue 1 ahangwa imboni, Bundesliga yo ikimpaka, muri Liga mwaba muzi uzitwa igihangange cya Espagne. Naho ku ya 30 Gicurasi umunyabigozi andika amateka mu mukino wa nyuma wa UEFA Champions League. Kuko ugomba kubaho ibyiza bihora kugeza ku ya 31 Gicurasi. Gura bone musanzwe ugura wongereho ibihumbi 2 uhabwa amashani yose ya Canal Plus na DSTV English Plus. Gurira ku mucurizi wemewe no kuri mobile money.
Rero ugiye kutubwira impamvu zatumye hitamo kuza gusaba akazi hano.
Bwa mbere nza gusaba akazi hano nari nabitekerejeho, mbabarire. Murakoze. Mu by'ukuri numvaga mfite ubushobozi ndetse n'ubushake.
So kutiteguye bihagije ni ukutaryama neza. Rwanda Farm, le paradis du matelas.
I wish I could leave my skin behind.
Icy'ingenzi ntabwo ari ukugira diplome ya kaminuza. Uyu munsi birahagije kuganira n'umuntu byonyine ukamenya ko yize muri kaminuza ibonetse yose cyangwa se ko yize muri kaminuza Gatolika y'u Rwanda, Catholic University of Rwanda, by'umwihariko mu ishami ryayo rya Kigali. Ubu abazi guhitamo neza batangiye kwiyandikisha muri Catholic University of Rwanda Kigali campus ikorera Nyamirambo. Abashaka kwiga mu mashami y'uburezi kwiyandikisha mu gihembwe kizatangira mu kwezi kwa gatatu, March intake, byaratangiye muri Postgraduate Diploma in Education PGDE. Aba biga muri weekend. Hatangwa kandi amasomo muri Department of Education in Sciences mu mashami ya Economics and Computer Science, Mathematics and Computer Science, Mathematics and Geography na Mathematics and Economics. Hari kandi Department of Education in Arts and Social Sciences mu mashami ya English and Kinyarwanda, English and French, French and Kinyarwanda, English and Kiswahili, Economics and Entrepreneurship, English and History, Economics and History na Economics and Geography. Uhitamo kwiga ku manywa cyangwa se mu biruhuko. Twakira kandi abanyeshuri bafite A1 muri education bakeneye gukomeza amasomo yabo ku rwego rwa A0. Iyandikisha unyuze kuri wa#CUR/AC/RAWA. Wanahamagara cyangwa ukandika ubutumwa kuri 07 83 18 86 26 cyangwa 07 33 21 46 78 cyangwa nanone 07 88 52 41 98. Wanandika email kuri curkigalikampus@gmail.com.
The only way to being found is getting lost.
Bakerarugendo namwe bashyitsi mugenda mu karere ka Muhanga no mu tundi turere two mu ntara y'Amajyepfo n'intara y'Iburengerazuba, namwe mwese mukeneye serivisi za hotel, ni muze nimugira mu mujyi wa Muhanga mukomeze gato. Nimugera i Kabgayi murahasanga hoteli yiteguye kubakirana urugwiro. Iyo nta yindi ni Hotel Saint-Andre Kabgayi. Hotel Saint-Andre Kabgayi tugufitiye serivisi zitandukanye za bar na restaurant kandi zitanga ubuhanga n'icyubahiro ku mukiriya utugana. Tubafitiye kandi imikino itandukanye ifasha abatugana kuruhuka nka pisine wogeramo ukaruhuka mu mutwe, imyicungo igezweho abana bidagaduriramo bagataha banezerewe, tennis na table game bakunze kwita biyari, igisoro ndetse na volley yo ku mucanga bakunze kwita beach volley mukunda muri benshi nayo ntitwayibagiwe. Ikindi nuko muri hoteli Saint-Andre Kabgayi twakira inama zitandukanye kuko tubafitiye ibyumba byiza by'inama utasanga ahandi, byaba bito ndetse n'ibishobora kwakira abantu benshi, ariko by'akarusho tukaba tubafasha no gukora inama mukoresheje ikoranabuhanga mu gihe mutari kumwe mu cyumba. Kubifuza serivisi za catering Hotel Saint-Andre Kabgayi, amafunguro n'ibinyobwa tubibagerezaho ku gihe. Tubafitiye ibyumba byiza byagutse biri mu byiciro bitandukanye, harimo n'ibyo bakunze kwita suite mu ndimi z'amahanga, ndetse byose ukaba ubibona ku giciro cyiza. Muri make ugeze muri Hotel Saint-Andre Kabgayi ahora yifuza kugaruka kubera uburyo yakiranywe ubwuzu n'icyubahiro tutasanga ahandi, kuko serivisi tuzitanga kinyamwuga kandi zishingiye ku ndangagaciro za kizizi. Ku bindi bisobanuro waduhamagara kuri telefone ziri kuri ekara yawe cyangwa ukatwandikira unyuze ku mbuga nkoranyambaga zacu zitandukanye. Hoteli Saint-Andre Kabgayi, imfura mu mahoteli mu gutanga serivisi nziza inoze kandi ku gihe.
Alright, welcome back to PACIS TV News Edition in English. And of course, as you all know, today marks exactly 1 year since Pope Leon XIV got elected as His Holiness the Pope of Catholic Church all over the world. In PACIS TV studio, we are very blessed to be with our special guest tonight. Of course, is Father Daniel Schreib from Germany. Welcome, sir, in our studio.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's an honor.
All right, it's a very great privilege for us to have you right now in the studio of PACIS TV live. Of course, without wasting time, let's start with, as we all know, in Germany, there is, they accept to bless the homosexuality, the same-sex couples. First of all, how does it feel like for the public in Germany? How do they really react about that kind of doctrine?
Yeah, sadly, it causes a lot of division in my country, what happens right now, because some of the remarks that Pope Leo made in his recent interview when he returned from his visit to Africa are not being observed. In this interview, Pope Leo made clear that there should not be a liturgical blessing for same-sex unions. But some German bishops have approved and published and put into practice exactly that, a document for the liturgical blessing of same-sex couples. And this is what now causes division in my country. Sadly.
All right. Thank you very much, Father. And how should Catholics may ritually react on that marriage between homosexualities? People have the same sex. How do really Catholics, believers and members all over the world should react?
They should carefully listen to what the Pope said in that interview when he returned from Africa, because he made the important distinction between the gender. Nobody is. That blessing is for everybody. And of course, we are all sinners, but that sin does not exclude us from receiving the blessing of God. But that's different from blessing the explicit union between two persons. The Church does this only in one instant, blessing the union, and this is in marriage between man and woman.
Exactly. Thank you all very much. And I would like to ask you the next question. Can really Church uphold like doctrine of Catholic and still bless the homosexuality? Those two things at the same time.
The sin itself, of course, cannot be blessed. This is what the Church made clear several times, also in the document Fiducia Supplicans that was released a few months ago. But we have to teach the people how the love of God works. It's a love that accepts us as we are, but then wants to transform us. It does not want us to remain how we are. And that is the core of the issue from my perspective.
All right. Thank you very much, Father. And another question, what are exactly the challenges that Catholic Church in Germany face when addressing that problem or that belief of blessing homosexuality couples? So what are the challenges?
The challenges right now are that things are endorsed that explicitly contradict what Rome commanded. And of course, this puts Catholic in a difficult position when their local bishop puts something in practice that the Pope explicitly has forbidden. And here the local faithful have to remember that the Pope has a higher authority than the local bishop.
All right, next question. How can the church leaders must deal with such of sensitive topics? It's one of the most talked about debate all over the world. So how the Catholic or the church leaders must deal with or can handle that the most talked about or controversials around the world.
Here again, Pope Leo helps us with the interview he gave on that flight. He said that the teachings on sexuality are not the most important teachings of the Church. First, we have to speak about Christ and his saving work. We have to speak about the love of God. And when this point is clear, then we can get into the specific moral kinds of issue. So the pastors should carefully look to first speak about the central topic of our faith and then move on to the specific issues.
All right, thank you very much for your time. And the last question, as I started by saying that it is exactly 1 year since Pope, His Holiness Pope Leo XIV got elected as the Pope of the Catholic Church. So what are the three things, the main things exactly, did you learn from Pope Leo or the Christians all over the world? The three things we must always carry in our hearts, that we must always remember from His Holiness Pope Leo XIV, who is celebrating 1 year as a leader of Catholic Church all over the world.
I think the first thing we can take away from him is that the unity of the Church is so important. And Pope Leo is really somebody who tries to unite the different polarization inside of the Church. And here we can take him as an example. The second thing is his love for the poor. His first writing was explicitly about the topic, how we should take care for the poor. That's the second thing that we can learn from him, that we should consider. And the third thing is, I think, patience. Because with all the issues that we have right now in the Church, he proves that he has the patience to listen to all sides, but not to hesitate at the end to make a clear conclusion. These three things we can take away.
All right, thank you very much once again, Father Daniel Schreib from Germany, to Halftime for PACIS TV English News. I hope that next time, if we need you, you can make time for us.
It would be my pleasure.
Thank you very much. All right, after a short break, we are coming back with international news. Alright, welcome back to our international news page tonight. President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, says that ceasefire is still in place after exchange of fire in Strait of Hormuz. US President Donald Trump says a ceasefire is still in place with Iran, despite a clash between Iran and US naval destroyers in the Strait of Hormuz, for which both sides blamed each other. The United States of America said Iran launched missiles, drones, and small boats against three of its warships in what is called an provoked attack. Trump said Iran terrified today. Iran's top military command, meanwhile, alleged the US had targeted an Iranian oil tanker and another vessel approaching the Strait of Hormuz and carried out an aerial attack on several coastal areas. In further sign of the fragility of the ceasefire, early on Friday, the United Arab Emirates Ministry of Defense said its air defense were actively engaging with the missile and drone attack from Iran. Iranian state media initially reported explosions in the Strait of Hormuz, describing them as an exchange of fire with the enemy. Meanwhile, local media reported explosions were heard in Tehran. Today, our Pope Leon XIV is celebrating a year after he got elected as the Pope. Major trips to the Middle East and Africa as consistory with the College of Cardinals, adjustments and reforms within Roman Curia. News in detail.
Election to the papacy, Pope Leo has emerged a global religious leader strongly focused on peace, diplomacy, church reform, and support for vulnerable people. Celebrating the anniversary of his election on May 8, 2026, the Vatican reflected on 12 months marked by international travel, diplomatic initiatives, pastoral outreach, and efforts to strengthen unity within the Catholic Church. Born in Chicago as Robert Francis Prevost, Leo became the first pope from the United States of America. However, this long missionary service in Peru shaped much of his pastoral identity, giving him a close ties to Latin America. During his first appearance after being elected, Pope has repeatedly spoke about peace, a theme that has remained central throughout his pontificate. Over the past year, Pope Leo has consistently appeared for an end to global conflict. He called for ceasefire in Gaza and Ukraine and urged world leaders to choose dialogue instead of violence. The Pope held meetings with Israel and Palestinian leaders and also engaged in conversation with Lebanese representatives. In significant diplomatic, Vladimir Putin reopened communication channels that has remained limited during the previous years. The Vatican say much of the Pope's diplomatic work has taken place quietly behind the scenes. Leo explained that the Church's mission is not political confrontation but encouraging peace and reconciliation. He even proposed the Vatican as a possible venue to negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, an idea welcomed by Ukraine but received cautiously by Russia. International travel because another defining feature to do of his first year. His first apostolic journey took him to Turkey and Lebanon, where he participated in celebration marking the 1700th anniversary of the Councils of Nicaea. In Lebanon, the Pope comforted communities affected by war, economic migration. Later, Pope Leo completed an extensive visit to Africa, traveling to Algeria, Cameroon, and Equatorial Guinea. During the tour, he addressed issues including poverty, justice, and human rights. In Cameroon, he called for peace in conflict-affected religions, while in Angola, he criticized the unequal distribution of wealth despite the country's vast oil and diamond resources. He also visited prisons and encouraged government to protect human dignity, support social development. Young people played an important role during the Pope's first year, particularly during the Jubilee of Youth celebration in Rome. More than 1 million young people attended the event. His appearance among crowds of young Catholics strengthened his image as Pope closely connected to ordinary people. As Pope Leo begins his second year as a leader of Catholic Church, attention is already turning toward 14 international visits, including a planned trip to Latin America as well as the public of his first encyclical. 1 year after his election to the papacy, Pope Leo has emerged.
Thank you very much once again. And after we come to an end of our English news edition tonight, let's go back to the top stories. The President of the Republic of Rwanda and his Botswana counterpart, Duma Boko, witnessed the signing of several bilateral agreements at the Gaborone presidential office. In Kibeho, the leadership of Groupe Scolaire Marie Merci, Groupe Scolaire Mère du Verbe Kibeho, Groupe Scolaire Saint Paul Kibeho, and Kibeho Health Center commemorated the former students, teachers, and support staff who were killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. In Kabgayi, during the 32nd commemoration of 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, students and teachers from Institut Catholique de Kabgayi ICK took part in remembrance activity. In international news, United States President Donald Trump says a ceasefire is still in place with Iran despite a clash between Iran and U.S. naval destroyers in the Strait of Hormuz, for which both sides blamed each other. Thank you very much once again for being with us on PACIS TV in English News Edition. I am Benjamin Kwizera. I wish you a very wonderful weekend.